This is ACOFAE. Laura Marie and Jessica Marie proudly present A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, a podcast. Fair warning, everything the hosts say is explicit, full of spoilers and adult content and shall not be used against them. They have opinions. Let's try not to drag anyone for expressing themselves and just have fun for an hour. We all deserve it.
This episode contains spoilers from Faebound, as well as Spark of the Everflame and The Wicked King. There are also mentions of Dune and The Black Witch. For full list, please see show notes.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, your weekly deep dive into the fantasy, literature, and fandoms that we love. I'm Laura Marie.
And I'm Jessica Marie.
And today we are discussing Faebound by Sarah L. Arifi.
Which I'm really excited to talk about because you basically convinced us from our Thankful 2024 episode that this is one of the books that you were thankful for that came out, that was recommended to you. Like this, we really wanted to get into it and explore it more. How has that been? This isn't your first, second, or even third reread at this time. And we have Cursebound coming out soon too.
Excellent questions. Yes. Okay. So this was recommended. Thank you, listener. And all right. Let's be so real. There are a lot of books out there, and there aren't a lot of books that surprise me as much as I was surprised by the twist in this book. So when I was reading it and the twist happens with the big reveal for the first one, I was like, oh, damn. And then I sat there and I thought about all the repercussions and I was like, that is really interesting. How is that going to work going forward? And I was very invested in that and how everything was going to kind of shake out. And that hasn't happened in a hot minute. So that was just really fun. And I was very thankful for the listener. I was very thankful for just giving my attention to this book because this book is hitting all of the things. And I want to say, as we say on ACOFAE, sometimes a book on paper can hit all of the things and not work. For me personally, this hits all of the things and does work. However, Jessica Marie has informed me that people don't like this book.
Yeah, I was actually really shocked. It's only, and not because of socials. Honestly, the only thing I knew about this book is when you had mentioned it, I had been familiar with the cover. I did not know the discourse or any conversations surrounding it. It was just a cover that I was familiar with. And it was just another one of those well, I guess that'll get added to the never-ending TBR list that we all tend to keep and you don't know how to keep up with. We're just mood readers. So I had read this book and then I went to go to Goodreads because after I read the book, sometimes I like going to the spoiler reviews to give me a refresher too, to be okay, what can I remember? Oh, that's right, that happened. Sometimes I just kind of, binge a book in a day and then I'm my head is mush. What is going on? But I wanted to make sure I remembered some of the key points, and some of those key points weren't even listed. It was just a bunch of negative reviews. And at that point, I just stopped reading. I just stopped reading the reviews because I enjoyed my time reading this. Full transparency, and I told you this before we started recording too, was that it did take me a while to get into the book. It took me, we both read this through audio, and it took me till about chapter 12, I think is when it really picks. Nope. 12 is when something happens, but I guess this is a spoiler episode. It was a little after episode 12 or chapter 12, but we were getting there. We were going through the motions. The first 10 chapters for me personally really did drag, only because there's a lot of military conversation, not so much the politics of it all just yet, because we're still in with the Elven, because we essentially have 3 classifications of people in our Faebound world. We have Elven, the elves, we have Fae, and we have humans. And there was a war for a long, long time, and they were creators. They have their own religion. They have their own mythology of how each of the classifications of species have come to be.
Yes. There's a fable that kind of like runs throughout this whole thing that kind of tells us this story over and over and over again, which I thought was like very helpful so that you didn't get like bogged down in anything. And the way that it's repeated, you're like, oh, okay, you're like building to it a little bit more each time, which I also thought was helpful. So the first thing, it's the wheat, the bat, and the water, 3 gods. They're very happy for a while. 2 of them want children. They create, elves. They create fae, and then eventually we create humans. And everybody's there. Everybody's happy for a while, but of course we have free will, and that leads to the war. And that's like the first thread that we have. And then by the end of the book, we're on a mission to break fucking curses. So like, obviously from the beginning to the end, like a lot happens here. But just as you said, the first like bit of this is just kind of world building in a never ending war on top of like mineral deposits that everybody is convinced will solve the problem.
I mean, this kind of reminds me of Dune, where about the spice. Everyone's chasing down the spice. So now we're looking for this. I mean, we kind of find it to be like gemstone that is plentiful in the Fae world, that they live underground, but it is supposed to be the oil. It's the spice. It is the thing that the elves are fighting for and thinking it's, like you said, it's going to solve all the problems. It's going to solve the economy. It's going to solve trade. It is the end all be all. And there is a scarcity of it to the elves.
Yes. And Yeeran, our main character, she is just been promoted to colonel in her army of her tribe. She has aspirations. She has ambition. She is banging the chieftain because we don't settle.
I loved that. I was like, Yeeran knows she loves a woman in power. We love that for her. Good for her. Because you know what? When, again, spoiler-filled episode, when she meets the Fae Queen, she's like, oh, damn.
Oh, damn.
I was like, ooh, go for you. Good. I was so happy for Yeeran. Good for her.
She's got a type, and it is women in power. Sure. We love it. We love it. We love it.
And her type has, like, their soldiers. They love their soldiers.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, it's excellent. It's excellent. Okay. Important to point out here that Yeeran and the elves only can use magic through harnessing the magic of an obia skin. And an obia is an animal similar to like a deer/goat situation, right? Like that's what we have. You can ride them. They're that big. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And Yeeran's people track, hunt, and skin these animals, and then use the skin as a drum skin, and then direct the magic that way through drum fire. And they use that on the battles. Okay. Important. Obia are the only creatures with magic in the elven world. Okay.
Well, and different parts of Elven use it, like you were saying, like in the soldiers and in the war, they use it one way, but then we have Yeeran's sister Lettel, who studies, like she's like a seer, she's a diviner, she can see the future. But in order for her to go through some of those, instead of reading tea leaves, essentially she has to read obia entrails. So all parts of the obia are being used, but it is how the elves are channeling their magic, no matter where they fit in their like type of work, I guess you could say.
Who is Lettel, Jess?
Lettel is Yeeran's little sister, who they have kind of a small age gap. No, it's actually kind of big because Yeeran goes off to war when they straight up say, like, Lettel was 9. Lettel was 9 when she left. So she feels like the little sister who is left in the dust, and Yeeran feels like she has this calling to protect her people, to be the voice, to be, to essentially prove her self-worth to herself, to her father, and everybody in between.
Yeah, exactly right. And Lettel, so she is a seer, she's a prophetess, she's a diviner. They call them diviners here. She's a diviner, just as you said, she uses the entrails. She had a vision about Yeeran, and she says, "Seek your glory to the east, Yeeran. Seek your glory to the east." And Yeeran's like, "All right, bet," because she believes Yeeran, but like not enough, like enough, but like not like enough yet. That'll come.
She believes her loosely. She's like, the framework of it is there.
And she's like, the details aren't there though. So like, it'll be like in the back of my mind, but like, there's no details. And Lettel gets annoyed by that. You know what? I would too. That would piss me off, honestly. I'd feel like, hey, fuck you. We have like a little bit of lore. And the little bit of lore is that, hey, by the way, there's this bad villain guy, and his name is Chieftain Akamito, and he's also called the Two-Bladed Tyrant. He killed a bunch of innocents. He's bad. That's not important. We're just saying. We're just saying right now he's bad, and it won't come up later.
So you're saying that the pattern is like right there.
Yeah, it won't come up later. This is chapter 3. It won't come up later. No, it's totally fine. But you know, that's a character. That's somebody. So as that, you know, thought crosses everybody's mind, Yeeran is out on the battlefield with Ryan, her mouthy, like, best friend, second guy that she's got.
Yeah, he's like her second in command, who winds up being Lettel's crush / lover / everything.
Yeah, well, he fell first and he fell harder, which I think is like so good.
As any man should.
Yep. Excellent. But Yeeran is out on patrol. First day as colonel. She's not seeing any action. She's like, eh. And Ryan kind of goads her on. They go to the east because, like, glory, right? They find missing scouts. They are ambushed. Like, that's not great. We have to, like, run away, right? Ryan comes in, saves everybody. And then Jess, our girlfriend, fucking banishes us. Damn.
Yeah, because she's like, I can't play favoritism. You know, you're the chieftain. You can do whatever the fuck you want. You know what? Then maybe you other people should have tried fucking me too. Then I would have given you favoritism. But she's banished. And so Yeeran goes off on her own. And now she's like, well, you know what? What am I going to do? At least my father has given me a certain set of survival skills that I can do this. I think I can do this. I have my experience in, the military. And Lettel is thinking she's like a one man, one woman type of, she's protesting. She's protesting for her sister to not leave. She's going against the politics. She's, the stereotypical little sister. She's hell on wheels. And, that doesn't work. So Lettel goes off to seek her sister herself. She's like, fuck this. You're not leaving me again. I'm going to find you, and you're not going to be alone out there either. Like, I'm alone back here. Let's at least be alone together in this journey. But at the same time, our second in command, Ryan, who's the second in command was to Yeeran, he's on the hunt for her too, because he has this guilt and responsibility that he feels he is just as much as to blame because of certain orders that were gone against that Yeeran had done as well, except he's just not being punished. He doesn't feel this is right. So eventually Lettel and Ryan kind of join up because they follow, they just kind of like see each other on the path, and they're like, well, let's do this together, I guess, because we have the same mission to find Yeeran. And so they start forming, like a friendship during this journey while Yeeran is still out there, and she's trying to find a way to not be banished, also to like come back and to be allowed back in with her people. And this includes her remembering some stories that involve like to get back into the chieftain's good graces. And this is where she comes across an Obia, and she knows that if she brings back an Obia, this is going to be great. Like, they would have to forgive her and not banish her anymore.
Yes. And that Obia sees her too and is like, I'm fucking off this way. You gonna follow me? And they have like a little cat and mouse game for a while that Obia leads Yeeran on a little chase. Meanwhile, Lettel ends up killing an Obia and has a vision about like under a waxy moon that no one can see. There's going to be poison. You know, people are going to die, one pearl and one gilded. Should also mention that Lettel has been given her own prophecy while she was in the infirmary. That was like, you know, one born under like storms and mist, you'll fall in love and end up killing him. And she's like, love, who has time for love? Very fun. Very fun. Also very fun, Lettel and Ryan traveling, one bed trope. Excellent. Excellent.
And it's the vitriol, like, I'm going to put this in the middle. You can't like cross this. And sorry, I didn't plan for anybody to come with me. So you're going to have to deal with me not wearing any pajamas. Mm-hmm. And I know I look good too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We love it. We also have some lore dumps. We have some lore dumps about the last human, right? Okay. So the way that I understand it is that the Fae killed almost all of the humans and drained all of their magic, right? And left one human alive. His name was Afa. It means the last. And he went around everywhere and he gained a bunch of knowledge. And then he came back to the Fae and he cursed them into Masama. That is where they live, like underground. And that's all very interesting and couldn't possibly be important later at all. Also, Ryan, though, also is telling Lettel about like, I just, as you say, like share this blame for Yeeran and exile. Like also, like I am from Crescent and like I've got my own tragic backstory and my own wild ass prophecy. So shit is going down. And you know, Lettel's very confident. We love that for her. They end up in a rainstorm back out on the road, right? Like under a tarp. And that's where they end up finding Yeeran. And they meet all together like in the woods. And it's like that Spider-Man meme where everybody's pointing at each other. And they're just like, what the fuck are we all doing here? It's really good. It's really funny. Because the Obia had led Yeeran there because like Yeeran needed water. She was dizzy. She's going to pass out. Brought her to the lagoon. Everybody's at the lagoon, right? The Obia is there and they end up, Yeeran, Ryan, and Lettel decide to stay together and hunt this Obia. And, you know, they end up seeing it. There's eye contact there. We kill this Obia. It doesn't run. It kind of just like accepts its fate. And it's like, should we skin it? Should we skin it? Ooh. And then we have an attack. We have a woman. We have 5 people riding Obia. Oh my God. Oh my God. They're Fae. You are under the arrest for the murder of a prince of Masama. I was like, oh damn. What is this? When I read it for the first time, I was like, what is this about? Oh damn.
So this is the part that hooked you in.
Yeah. I was like, huh. Okay. Because again, this is like the second repetition of like this Fae, human, elf kind of folktale story going on. And so like we know that the Fae are just like kind of a story to the elves. And then all of a sudden they're there and they're riding the Obia, which we have been told this whole time that like, that we hunt the shit out of them. You know, like we use them for everything. They're just animals. Like, there they are riding them like, oh, damn, like, that's cool. That's cool. So I thought this was all like very interesting. And this is, of course, where we meet Fury. Fury is our leader. We love.
We love. And so the prince that had been killed, the Obia, one thing we need to know about Obia is they're not shifters. They are a whole different species. They are an animal-like creature who is like a soul kindred, like a familiar. I think that's the best way. Like if you think of it, it's like the Obia is a familiar to the Fae. Not everybody is bound to one. And then once they are bound to each other, and that's where the word Faebound, it comes from, their binding, it is an extension of the Fae. You kill an Obia, the direct correlation is, you know, the Fae is killed, you kill the Fae, same thing. It goes both ways. So that's where the immediate thing, and everybody's confused, like Prince, Fae, I just killed an Obia. What are you talking about? And at this point, all three of them, Yeeran, Lettel, and Rianne, are brought back to Massima. And I imagine this journey, like, they're kind of like schlepping into Massima, and they see Massima is covered in all of the gems and all of the resource material that they, as elves, have been fighting over, thinking there's a scarcity of it, and it's all underground. And their first thought is, oh yeah, wait till we bring this information back. We won't be exiled and banished anymore.
For real. And it's got to be very pretty too, right? Because like they're in the tunnel. It's like a forest tunnel. Then they go through, and it's like this big domed city, right? And it's all like sparkly and crystal, but it's not sunlight, but it's still light. Like it's got to be really something to see. But of course, like they're yeeted off to prison because, you know, as you are. And as they're talking, Fury, our leader, and Yeeran are talking, and she is explaining about the drum. She's like, I didn't know. Nobody knows. In fact, nobody knows this. Like, I'm sorry.
We actually didn't even know you all are still alive. We thought you were dead.
Yeah. It's like, I am so sorry about all of this. Holy shit. I'm sorry. And she's like kind of in shock over it. She's just like, we just had no idea about any of this. But Fury's like, you know, you have been murdering us for like centuries. So go to prison. And we meet a cellmate in prison, and we will see him. Comey. We will see him. We will see him a little bit later, but we meet Comey. Ryan and Lettel are taken to a different place. And this is where we're introduced to Golan and the idea of being lightless. And I thought this was a very interesting kind of plot line to weave into. So there is discrimination amongst the Fae.
So I think this is an interesting point of, if you think of this as like a second part of the story, well, it is in a way. We understand that this is kind of getting set up as a crime procedural. And the first person that we meet, Golan, is essentially the criminal. Yeah, that was the first thing when, you know, again, spoiler episode, when we flash forward to the end and it was announced that it was him, because I don't think I was really like paying much attention that it could have been him. I think I was thinking it could have been anybody else, but I didn't think him. And then once he was announced, I was like, oh man, that's just in line with Laura's theory. That's so if y'all are reading a crime procedural, just be like, once you meet the first person, you could either say, okay, book is done, I know who it is. Or you could see how we piece everything together, how it is him. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'll take it a step further and say the very first person we meet, Comey, is responsible for all of it.
Yes. Yes, which is all the way first 5 chapters.
Yeah. So that's all of it. So yeah, just down the line. Really interesting. As soon as they said like squid ink, as soon as Golan said that the squid ink is poison, I was like, why are you giving me that detail? Why is that important?
Oh, because he has the squid ink for his like fake facial hair because he can't actually grow it. And he's like, oh, but I got to take it off every couple weeks because it is, Yep. Okay, but we're meeting Golan. Golan is lightless. Golan is not bonded to an Obia. He cannot really like super accurately speak Fae. It's very difficult. And only people that are bonded to an Obia can naturally speak Fae. It is just one of the dividers in the Fae society. I find that very interesting. Very interesting. World building. Like it won't play a part later.
World building, we have 2 queens. 2 queens, two of the same family have to rule. And when one of the ruling family is not in the city, it starts to die. Interesting stuff. Okay. Also, Yeeran's execution is like coming. That's what we're getting ready for. That's why Golan is there dressing everybody for Yeeran's execution. All right, fine. Let's see.
Oh, I was just going to say, reminder, she's getting executed because she killed the Fae Prince.
She killed the prince.
Like that is why, even though she was like, I didn't know, it wasn't intentional. And they were like, okay, well, that sucks. Your ignorance for not knowing doesn't change the outcome. This is still a punishable offense.
Yeah. And here, so Yeeran in prison is, of course, taken to the queens to like plead her case and get sentenced to death. She's sentenced to death. But what is this? It's a voice. What is this voice? It is Pila.
Pila is adorable. We love Pila. Pila is our Obia who gets bonded, Faebound to Yeeran. Huge uproar. Oh my gosh, what is going on? Because Yeeran is not Fae. She is an elf.
Yep, she's an elf. So how did this happen? She says, like, I've been waiting for you. Like, oh my gosh. Okay, we have more of the prophecy just saying, like, which powers the gods gave all of their children. Humans got earth power, and they have, and through a spoken language, important. The elves got prophecy and was able to see the future, and the elves and the Fae were able to weave light magic. Okay, cool stuff. Yeeran passes out. Obviously, this is like a big deal, right? But she wakes up. She understands the Fae language, and the queens are on her ass about this. And it's very similar, I think, to Spark of the Everflame, where Diem goes and meets Luther's family, and they're like, "Holy shit! Okay, well." Where's your dead relative? We got to make this shit up. People are going to ask questions. What are we going to do? Shit.
Exactly where my mind went when I read that part. I was like, ooh. But we also don't know. And she's like, look, my dad is my dad. I think my mom is my mom. Like, I don't know what to tell you. So that's like, we still don't have final confirmation at the end of this book. So that's where I feel like, you know how it's a different variation of no head, not dead theory. So nothing is, I'm open for that conversation.
Because Yeeran is bonded to an Obia, the queens cannot kill her now. It's a whole thing. Yeeran now realizes the soul connection. She understands the like enormity of her crime and the crimes of the elven people. And because of this, the queens really have to save face, right? They can't kill her, but like they don't really want her there either. So like 5 years in the army, you're going to do your initiation, like all good. It's fine. And I like this. So we have like a little bit of enemies to lovers too, because Yeeran and Fury are really like butting heads here, but Yeeran is like accessing this magic and she doesn't really know how to control it yet. And she ends up smacking the shit out of Fury with her magic.
Well, and I also like that the attraction to each other is like undeniable from the first start, at least from Yeeran's side that we know. She's like, damn, woman in power. She's hot. I'm mad at her, and that makes it hot. Like she's going through. She's like, but I really do love my chieftain from my elfin. Yeah, she was just like, but I can't. But she's so hot. But I can't. I need to go back to my people. She has such turmoil.
It's very funny. But to cut this timeline way down, we are given the timeline of, all right, you have 3 months until you're initiated into the Fae Guard to start your 5 years in the army. And that, so in 3 months, you're going to study everything you can about like our life, our culture, like the army, everything. Then we're going to tie you to a fucking tree for 12 days and set you in the sun and watch you boil alive, basically. And like, we are from the sun, so we can handle that, but you're not. So that's how we're going to kill you. FYI.
Yeah, that's their loophole, because at first she was wondering, she's like, wait, that doesn't make sense. Like, I'm going to have all this training. It's like, it's all optics. We can't directly kill you, but we'll find this workaround that either way you're dying.
Yep. It is what it is. Because Yeeran is now essentially free, she reunites with Lettel. She like tells Lettel what's going on. And, you know, Yeeran introduces her to Comey. Pila doesn't like Comey. And she says that. She's like, I don't like him. Like, I don't like him. I see a bunch of shit. Like, I just don't. I'm getting
bad vibes. Pila is all about the vibes, and Comey is not passing Pila's vibe check. Which, honestly, if you have been around people or animals, when you see that they're not vibing with somebody, but they're able to vibe with everybody else, like, that should be a flag for you.
For sure. But nobody sees it. Nobody notices. Golan comes back because we're getting ready for a ceremony. So fun.
He's like our Lenny Kravitz.
He is. He's like, hey.
Just dressing them all.
Giving names for everything, making sure everything is perfect. We love it. Ryan and Lettel are starting their love plot, which is very sweet. He gives her like a necklace. They bond like over all of this stuff. He tells her that he's like Stormborn, Mistborn. And she's like, oh no, he's going to be the one I'm going to kill. Shit. I should mention that Lettel, again, is cut off from her prophecy diviner magic because obviously she can't fucking slaughter any Ovius here. But she meets Sahar, who's a seer, and he's like, come to me tomorrow. Helpful.
Yeah, and she's like, why aren't you at this party? And he's like, I don't fuck with people who don't believe me.
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay, shit. All right. So Yeeran at the ceremony, though, is blessed by the queens as Faebound, right? There's festivities. Everybody's there. There's passion, right? Everything is very primal, very fun. Comey, we are led to believe that Comey is out of prison, enjoying taverns and being drunk and doing nothing else, and is a slightly happy-go-lucky, if not slightly melancholy character. And that is just like kind of reinforced from here on until it's not.
Yeah, because he was imprisoned for 10 years by the Fae. And one of the stipulations, because we're talking about politics, we're talking about optics and the perception that the Fae have on Yeeran is part of the agreement to essentially like quote unquote run free. I use in air quotes, is that she said, my little sister, Lettel and Rianne need to be treated like they're not in prison. They need like all of the best, room and board, no situation. And if you want me to continue to go along with this plot that you're sharing with the people, that I happen to be some sort of failing or halfling, however you want to spin it, you have to take Comey out of here. And which is also really, really weird that they were so desperate to spin this, that they were happy to take, like in hindsight, happy to take this guy who snuck in to their land, to their world, and trust him without eyes on him the whole time. Like, that's weird. He was locked up for 10 years, not just as like a POW, but there was a reason. But I guess the complacency bred into like not being able to leave really is really something, right? Like, yeah,
that is something. We have like culture lessons with Fury's brother, very fun. And we learn about the curse, the thrones, and the tree of souls. And the tree of souls in the throne, like, in the throne room, the thrones are there. Each leaf on the tree is a soul. The thrones have like the curse that's like carved into it and they can't get rid of it. They've been trying for like 1,000 years. The human use the power of the earth to like trap them there. And the tree is the lifeblood of the land, and the dynasty is like also the lifeblood of the land and the tree. So there always has to be like 2 members of the dynasty in the land, or else something will happen. And let's talk about the blight. There's got to be a blight.
I was like, of course there's a blight. I was like, hey, I know what that is. Mm-hmm. There was a blight on the land. The land started dying because there was a member of this family lineage who was born there, part of this lineage, and then was taken away for 30-something years. We come to find out very later on in the tail end of the book that it's Rianne. And it's because as soon as Rianne comes back, meanwhile, nobody has put this connection together. Unless, Laura, did you put it together? Or are you the only one who's put it together?
No.
Okay. I was like, you always pick up on this. But like the Fae haven't picked up on this. They were like, there was a blight yesterday. Not so much today. Maybe it's a fluke. And then the blight stays away. They're like, our land is growing again. Nobody has put the correlation together, including Rianne himself, because he doesn't know his lineage. He knows of the story. He knows of the fable. He knows of the, whenever there's a riddle of poetry, I just kind of gloss right over that. but it also, no, because they're not communicating yet. Because I was going to say, like, if there was a miscommunication, they, as in Lettel and Rianne, are still like dancing around their romantic feelings with each other, but they are outwardly displaying that there's an attraction to each other.
Yep. And Lettel's on her own journey too, because she's going to the apothecary. She is learning, like, okay, I can see magic if I go into like my heedless state, right? Like, I can start like training. I can like really kind of be helpful. I can be an apprentice to Golan. I need a purpose, right? I need to do something. I go to the book orchard. This is Lettel. I'm going to learn Fae. I just want to be useful. Ryan, meanwhile, is training with Barrow. He's in the army. He's like trying to get information there. And Yeeran is learning culture. She's also trying to learn with Fury, but she is having a hard ass fucking time trying to figure out how to use her magic and how to use mage sight. She's like not very good at it. Everything is like very difficult for her. And I did appreciate that it was hard and like it didn't just come to her right away. She was like frustrated and had to work on it a bit.
Yeah. And I think it's funny where I don't think it's funny, haha. But then when she tries to approach Fury about it, she goes like, I need some help. And she goes, I kind of thought that since you weren't picking it up, yeah, like it should be coming easier to you. I don't know how to help you. And then you also have Fury's brother who has to convince her. She's like, we're all about optics. If you're not even seen helping her, why are we going through this? Just put her up there now. Why are we all going through it? But I do appreciate Yeeran's tenacity when Fury isn't showing up to these lessons anymore, and and Yeeran is finding a way to educate herself, whether it's finding a way to learn Fae magic on her own and kind of like how does Lettel explain it? Like kind of in a way of meditation, like pushing all thoughts out of your mind and just kind of be like a blank slate. And that's when you can channel the Fae energy. Or even when she, as in Yeeran, goes to the Fae fields, she goes to the crops, she's helping the local people. And in a way, it's like, maybe if I show myself again as this asset, people will fight for me to not be banished here also, and just have that word of mouth.
It's like maybe, ooh, but by this point in the story, the blight is gone. I think that's important to note. When Yeeran first sees it on her tour, there's like little green shoots in the field, and you're kind of led to be like, Yeeran, did you do that? Did you do that, Yeeran? And then by the time we're here, the blight is gone, and we're like, ooh, we need to celebrate. Like, ooh, okay. Interesting stuff.
I like when she goes, I think I'm hallucinating, y'all. I've been out here for far too long. And everyone's like, I don't think I see what I think I see. Just somebody else double check. But like you said, then they do celebrate. We have another celebration. We have another, orgy fest on our hands.
We do, but before that, Yeeran has to get stabbed, and we have to have our bonding moment with Fury, right? We have to have an injury that brings us closer, because something is amiss in the army. That is what Ryan is telling us. Something is going on. I don't know. I'm looking at maps, and there's like the Dying Hill, and there's like Gura and the eastern lands, but there's something not right there. This is also where Lettel learns that the initiation for Yeeran is also her execution. So like emotions are really big. They're not paying attention. They're ambushed by Hosta and some other very hostile Fae. And then an Obia with a broken horn comes in, woo, and helps save the day. But Yeeran is stabbed, and she's taken to the healer's room, and she had 12 stitches. Fury's there. They have little moments, right? It's like, ooh, okay. We're talking, we're bonding. And of course, Lettel is nervous as fuck about all of this. And she starts talking to Ryan about prophecies and what is going on. And this is again where he's like, I'm gonna kill the two-bladed tyrant because I got my own prophecy, Lettel. You're not the only one with prophecies. Don't you know? Which I find very fun. Also, when Yeeran wakes up, the first thing she does is she makes a drum. And she's like, all right, I got this. Fury really pissed me off when she said that I should be able to do it by now. And if I can't, then I just, I can't. But you know what? I'm going to try a drum. And she does. And she gets all ready, right? Because just as you said, there's an orgy festival tonight. How fun. We love that.
And people start just leaning into the emotions of it. This is where, we have our moment of Yeeran. Yeah, this is the one where Yeeran and Fury are just like aggressively mad at each other. And next thing you know, I think I had to rewind this part. I was like, wait, did I miss something? When did they start hooking up? And they did, and they lean into it. All while this is happening, Rianne and Lettel succumb to their emotions after she admits, like, no, it's not about, like, I know you've been sneaking off. I know you've been doing this, because she's also trying to push him away because she has this prophecy that says she's going to fall for this person. And this is how she's going to know who the person is. And then she's going to have to kill him. So it's your age old tale of I'm going to push you away to save you situation. And meanwhile, every time he's with somebody else and out late at night and not knowing what's going on, she's riddled with hurt and jealousy. And she's just sad because she knows that this is going to be how she saves him. Lo and behold, she says, like, basically, it sucks. I like you. And I know you've been fucking off doing this, that, the other thing. And he goes, you're wrong, because I actually really like you too. And you're wrong about everything that you're talking about. And so they go ahead and say, she was like, well, I'll figure it out later how I'm not going to have to kill him. And they hook up too. While both parties are hooking up, both queens die. And now Fury is pissed because in the middle of the hooking up, right when, one person has gotten theirs, the other person's about to get theirs, we hear the scream. We find out that both queens are dead. And now Fury is putting blame on Yeeran because she thinks, you did this on purpose. You did this to distract me. You knew the queens were going to die. You set me up. If I knew about this, I could have been prepared and we wouldn't be here and we would still have our queens.
Yep. And she's so mad. She's like, I'm going to arrest Lettel. Fuck all of y'all. All of you going to prison. Like, what is going on? And it's very... And Yeeran has like all of this compassionate feeling for Fury too, because like she's just like losing all of her family. She's immediately like thrust into this position of power. She's just like, what do I do? What do I do? But everybody has to calm down. Everybody like separates. Everybody calms down. This is where Lettel ends up going to the apothecary and starts carving her organs, right? And starts learning how to use the talismans and the tokens to reconnect her with her divination. We like that very much. Yeeran and Fury have conversations, and Fury does not change the ruling of the queens and really digs in that Yeeran's initiation has to go forward. She's not gonna let that go. Like, you know what? It is what it is. Like, it's fine. But so Yeeran's like, all right, I have a lot to do in that time. And she is very suspicious now of Comey. Lettel is very suspicious of Comey. Yeeran is kind of like in the back of her head, very suspicious of Comey. Pila confirms that like Comey was in the palace when the queens were killed, and he was lying to them when he said that he wasn't. Lettel is asking the fates about Comey. Like things are starting to kind of come to a head here and be like, this is weird. What's happening? Also, Fury and Yeeran are like coming together and coming apart and coming together and coming apart a lot during this. And just in one instance, she's wearing her gold armor and they kind of get into a fight. And we end up in the garden, and Golan and our prince are talking in the garden. I love a palace garden where people are plotting. It's amazing. I love it.
And this is where Lettel overhears their conversation that's happening.
Yeah.
Did she sneeze or did she just like gasp? I can't remember what like alerted them to realizing that she was there.
I think it was like a kind of, because they're like confessing to murder.
Yes. They're like, well, it was you. And they're like, I just gave you this stuff. You actually followed through with it. And they were just trying to point fingers, basically, that how are they going to keep hidden? How are they going to keep low? How are we going to ensure that it doesn't go back to the two of them? Because they're both complicit. They both acted onto this. And she did overhear Lettel. And so they were like, well, fuck. We're going to have to kill you, basically kill you too. And they take her away. And at this point, though, Obia knows what's going on. At the same time, Yeeran knows what's going on, and they just they clock each other so Yeeran can jump on Obia's back and just go and save her sister.
And then we go to the coronation. Just who's king?
Surprise, surprise. We think it's going to be Fury and her brother, her cousin. We think it's going to be her cousin because her brother died. It's because it always has to be two within the same family. Wrong. All of a sudden, it's Rianne, and everybody's like, "What the fuck? What the fuck is happening?" And he's like, "I didn't plan this. I didn't even want to be you. Actually, you all took me as your prisoner. I didn't even want to be here." And this is where all of the parental lineage information is coming out. What are the prophecies saying? What Lettel had heard, because Lettel's back by this time, because she's been saved by Yeeran. And Fury's cousin is like, "You took this from me." And they're like, "Well, let's dig. Let's dig." We find out that he doesn't know who his father is. He just knows this Fae word that basically says he's like the sun, he's like the storm in the midst of the ocean, more or less. And this is where Lettel is like, "Well, fuck. Now we just double down that this is, and if I shared my prophecy that I had heard, we might have been able to decide this together, figure it out a little bit earlier. It doesn't change anything, but this is where Fury and her family are realizing, oh, that was so-and-so. He was my uncle something. Nephew? No, because Rianne, it's her brother in a sense, because that's when Fury embraces Rianne, like, nephew! And she, honestly, the way that she bows to him, the way that she accepts him, it almost comes across that she feels like this whole heaviness has been lifted off of her shoulders. And she's like, thank God, I did not want to do that. Like, it wasn't something that she wanted to pursue, but understood the responsibility that comes with being queen. And it was her cousin who's like, "You took this from me." And he's like, "I didn't fucking want it. I didn't choose. Your land chose. Your land wanted me here."
Yep. And Rand can control the land. He can feel it. He says it's similar to hair. That he can manipulate it if he wants to. Otherwise, he doesn't really think about it all the time. And I thought that was interesting.
It reminded me of the Wicked King when the land is answering to Cardan.
Yeah, it's really good. And Yeeran comes to Rianne and she's like, "I owe you a blood debt. I'm sorry I killed your father. I'm the worst. I'm the worst." And Rianne's like, "You're not. You didn't know. This is just another layer of we didn't know. It's no biggie. It's no biggie." And she's like, "All right, I'm going to go fuck Fury in the sand." In the sand.
Good for everybody who can have dirt sex, sand sex, whatever kind of sex you want. I just cannot. It's just sand everywhere.
Everywhere there's sand. Even they say after that they went into the ocean and they rinsed it off. Still, you're sticky. You're still sticky afterward.
There's granules of salt from this water. I just have a lot of issues.
Yep, absolutely not. Couldn't do it. Couldn't be me. But it is during this sexy time that Fury asks Yeeran to stay and be her consort. She's like, "Stay with me. I want you here with me. Stay with me." And Yeeran's like, nah, like, I gotta get out there. I gotta tell everybody what's going on. You give the word to let us out to Ryan, and like that's what we want. Like no. And Fury's like, well, that sucks. That was my last play. Like that's all I got.
But she still gives her the word.
Yeah, still gives her the word. She's good. She's good for that. But she's like, that was my last play. I was gonna ask her to be my queen. Shit.
Yeah, but like, I know you. If like, Yeeran's like, I have to do this bigger picture thing. Do it as queen consort.
Yeah, do it with more backing and like power behind you,
yes!
more authority.
Yes, you even like say what now? We can work with this.
We can work with this.
I don't have to be the savior of the end all be all of what we need to do. Get your queen consort, your queen and queen consort. You could get somebody to do that for you, actually.
Yes. Actually, yeah. No, it didn't make a lick of sense. Didn't make a lick of sense.
I was even going to be like, I was like, no, I know exactly. This wouldn't have even been a question. It was not a bigger picture situation. That queen consort is the bigger picture.
Words to live by. If someone offers you a throne, take it. Be the change you want to see in the world from the throne. It's easier that way.
Be the change you want to see from the world, from within, from the power, so you can invoke that change. You could be the change you want to see in the world all you want. And like lower level, I'll use air quotes because there's like a set of, there is classism going on here. But like, where's the change going to happen?
Mm-hmm. 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 When someone offers you a throne, you take it. You take it. You take it, and then you enact the change from inside because you're the fucking queen. Ugh. One day. Just wait. Okay. We have a nice reunion between Ryan and Sahar, the apothecary, our seer, our diviner, because they are grandpa and grandson. Very fun, very nice. Letel is cute. Going to be the consort, obviously. Queen. We love that. Slay. She's also going to be the seer of the court. That's always like really cool.
And we find out from Sahar that even though he was king consort, being a seer has more value over the land. So she will have both. She'll be of like a higher recognition than just queen consort.
Mm-hmm.
But this is also where Yeeran is realizing, shit, does it make sense for me to go back? Because if Rianne is here, that means my sister's going to stay here. My dad is dead. My mom is dead. What am I going back to? Like, what? I don't know. Even with all of those questions, and she still said no to Fury. What are you going back to?
What are you going back to? But this is where we learn what she's going back to. Okay. So this is the end of the book, right? Letel, let's remember, we are all still suspicious of Comey. Comey is just like not around, right? Letel sees him and remembers him going into this room. So she's like, I'm just going to go in this room. I'm going to see what this is. It's the war room. All right. That's not great. Golan and the prince are talking. And this is where it is complete confessions. This is like I did this, like this is the ink, like I supplied the poison, like I laced the cup, like did you see him on my throne? Like my father told me about this. He sent me this letter. He warned me about this. How did I know? He was just supposed to show up here. This is again, Letel is again like, ooh, I'm in danger again. Oh shit, I'm in danger again. Yeeran and Pila kind of like sense this, run to the war room. We're shooting the prince with drum fire. He killed the queens. Fury is there. We're racing after the prince. He is on a cliff with his Obia. There's a battle. He's still confessing stuff. He's still saying, like, I removed the queens for you, Fury. Like, let me leave with the troops that we sent. Like, all this work that we did with Crescent. This is all the dumping that we're getting. Fury, I did this for you. I just wanted to go home. We don't deserve this. But then like, but then the Obia, everybody dies. Everybody dies. And the story that we come up with is that he jumped, but it's just a lot of falling off of cliffs. And Obia's dying, and then the soul dying, and then the human body or the Fae body dying after that. And everyone's like, everybody agrees he jumped. Everybody? All right, good. Let's move out.
Finally, people are getting on the same page of things.
It's like, all right, let's move out. But Yeeran is like, all right, what the fuck is going on? What does he mean you're working with the Crescent tribe? And this is where we get the full story. So when we go back to chapter 1, chapter 1 through 5 or whatever, where we're going to the east to seek glory, and we're running into the trap, and we're firing on the Crescent soldiers, and our arrows are being repelled from a barrier. That barrier is Fae magic. Fae soldiers are in the Crescent army. The Fae and Crescent are working together. Okay. And of course, Yeeran is like, what the absolute shit? What? What are you talking about? Are you kidding?
It's always nice when the character is like, I knew I wasn't fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It's that validation. You're like, I knew it wasn't me. I knew something was there, and I didn't know what it would be, because why would anything with Fae cross their minds when they have been under the impression that Fae haven't existed in hundreds of years?
Yep. And the queens broke off the deal. They didn't want to send any more troops, but Fury ended up sending the troops because she's all in on it. And the whole reason that she met Yeeran in the woods that day is because she was there for like a planning meeting with the members of Crescent Tribe. It's a whole thing. Okay. It's a whole thing. All right. Now, Lettel is waking up. She's got a collapsed lung. She is yelling about Chieftain Alchemito. Okay. Nobody really makes that connection until we have the confrontation. Like, everything happens here. Yeeran pieces together that Comey is Chieftain Akinito, and Yeeran kind of puts that together, and she like says it to Ryan, and Ryan's like, my prophecy. That's my prophecy. Holy shit. And the two, because, Akinito's the two-bladed tyrant. That's his prophecy. He's got to kill him. So Ryan like runs into the room, and he's like, you. And Comey's like, yeah, man, me. It been me.
It's been me the whole time. So all of these sneaking around that he was doing was all in conjunction with his espionage that he continued to do after 10 years in prison.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And he says, like, I've been spying, like, the Fae will end the war. A weapon is a weapon. It doesn't matter. Ryan is overcome with rage, emotion, and feeling, and he pulls the stone up from the ground and encases the tyrant as a statue in stone, thus fulfilling his prophecy. And everybody else is like, this is war. You've brought us war. Holy shit. But like, whatever. But then Yeeran decides in the best possible moment to fuck off. She decides, this is the best moment to fuck off. I'm going to go now. Fuck off.
Which is like, I honestly feel really bad. Not like put Fury aside, I feel so bad for her sister, because she's like, really? Again? You're picking the fucking war over me again? What is with you?
Mm-hmm. And Lettel even goes so far as to confess that she like killed their father because he got out of hand and it just got wild and he started to lose his mind, and like she just put him in that forever sleep. She just did that, and nobody knew. He
essentially had dementia and became really abusive towards her and blamed her because of his dementia. He's like, I don't know who you are. Like, a lot of empathy goes out for Lettel. She's like, I had to raise this family. You were off fucking around, which isn't really what it is, but that is what her truth and how she's feeling is.
And I like this fight that they have, too, because Yeeran is like, Lettel, don't make this about you. She goes, no, fuck off. It's always about you. Mm-hmm. Don't make this about you, Yeeran. I can see you. You're already inching your way back to the war. You can't wait to leave me here and go back to the war. You think you're so goddamn special? Like, fuck off. We're going to part in anger.
Which is a full 360 to where we were at the beginning of the book, when we're meeting Yeeran and she's like, I was born on the battlefield, I'm going to die on the battlefield, everything has always been like about the military and war for me.
Yep. All right. So now Yeeran, after parting with in anger from her sister, goes to Fury and is like, I'm going to warn the chieftain. Peace out. Bye. And Fury's like, all right. Bye. I hope we don't fight each other. Yeeran goes to the boundary with Ryan, and he tells her the details. He's like, "Yo, we sent 200 guards to Crescent. I'll try to stop it. Like, war's gonna come. I know the word. I'll let you out. I hope to see you again. I hope to see Fury again. Like, I'll come back. Like, all this stuff." And Yeeran doesn't look behind her. She's piecing out. And then we have our epilogue. This is the end. Our epilogue with Ryan, and he's reading the letter from his father. And he's basically saying like, yo, son, I've been watching you through my obia. I'm sorry. I didn't know about you. I thought we had more time. By the way, there's a grimoire. Like, there's a secret, right? Like, my little half son, right? Go find it where the earth's teeth flow with the river. You, my son, have a curse to break. And Ryan's like, hell yeah, I've got a curse to break. Ba, 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 ba. The end.
I like that. It's a good epilogue. It's a great like cliffhanger that gets you excited. There's so much lore. There's so much world building
and diversity.
Yes, so much diverse. I mean, everything. I mean, it's entirely BIPOC characters and Indigenous characters and characters of all genders are very progressive. I mean, one of the lines that Yeeran even says that she was so excited and that the Fae, when they were first brought there as a group, she goes, wow, they really honor all genders, just like the Elven. So it was just like, and everything, the representation is so fun and so wonderful and so continued to be needed in the books and and what we read.
And also, of course, on ACOFAE, we read diverse, we read queer all year. Obviously, it's very important. But again, when I was recommended this book, when I picked up this book, when I was enjoying this book, I was so into this book, and it was just so lovely that it makes me kind of like pissed off that Goodreads really shat on it, because I do feel, and I'm thinking about the first Black Witch, where when there is just like a huge social media push that is very negative for just weird reasons, then it does kind of alienate an audience, and it takes a while for a book to actually find its audience if it does come out of a situation like that. So that makes me sad that people are shitting on it. But maybe they have good points, and I was just no thoughts here. So it could always be me. Right. Yeah, no, you know what? I feel like Goodreads is really like I said, it was the only thing that I had looked at, and then I shut it down. I think that was the best way, because we had a fun time. And there are other books that we realized that that's also happening, where you have people who are vocally, they're cheering on other books, and we're like, but you have this right here. Or you have Spark of the Everflame right here. You have Black Witch, which we're on the 5th and final book with the Dryad Storm. And you're like, why aren't we screaming about these? These are the ones we're so excited about. And it's nice that when, we kind of look at our criteria when we're, a lot of the times when we're discussing on the podcast, if it's hitting certain marks for us, these actually hit them. It hit them all. And there's like so many different layers with this first book so far. You have the politics, you have the representation, you have the sisterhood bond. There's no cattiness. You have it's plot first, and then two romantic stories that are going on. But they, like you were saying, when they come together, come apart. It's not because they're always fighting. It's because they're on their own journeys, and everybody has their own individual journey that is also adding to the bigger plot and storyline. That's just really fun, and it feels fleshed out for a first book of a series. The world building, I think the hardest part that feels like it can be a lot is the fable.
and the lore and understanding that and getting if I had a physical copy, it'd just be highlights all over the place. But we did this through audio, and it's still just as an exciting experience. So would recommend. Thank you, listener, for reaching out to Laura and having her share this with us.
Yes, always, always, always thank you, listener. Always thank you, listener. Thank you, listeners. Thank you for engaging with us. Thank you for recommending and sliding in our DMs. You know, we love to talk to you. Thank you so much for everything and for engaging. And I think it's safe to say that we will cover the second book in this series because to me, this was a banger and I had fun.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see what the next steps are. And I'm kind of excited to see, you know what, Yeeran, you wanted to go, fuck off, be mean, have a fight with your friend. You think you know better. You're going to be the savior. And I have a gut feeling she's going to go back to the Elven and they're going to take all her information and fuck her over again. That's just my gut feeling. At the time of this recording, the second book isn't even out. And, we don't really get into the theories here all the time on the podcast. So yeah, that's where I'm at. So thank you again. We'll talk to y'all soon. Feel free to follow us on Instagram or at ACOFAE Podcast. We're both also currently on TikTok, ACOFAE Laura and ACOFAE Jessica. Let us know where you want to find us too. We're still parsing everything out. It's January 2025. It's not been a good week. Share your thoughts. We'd love to hear them. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.
Bye.